Here we go, math nerds. Example 2, radical equations. I think it's pretty easy to identify the fact that this would be a radical equation because there's a radical in there, all right? And so that would be the thing to focus on. And as we discussed on example number 1, please watch these in order. It really helps, I feel. But if we want to get that absolute value, or pardon me, that radical by itself, wouldn't we want to move the 54 over by adding it? So we'll add the 54 over to the other side. And therefore then the equation transforms into radical equals 125. All right, now here's something that's a little different about this one as opposed to the one before. In fact, let's put example 1 up here. The thing that's different is this next one has not only a radical, but it's got a power underneath. That one technically did, it's a 1, but anyway, you might remember at one point we got rid of the radical. We killed the radical by introducing a third power. Here's my suggestion on this one. If you have both a power underneath and a radical, I feel it makes sense to change this into a fractional exponent. You might recall from assignment number 7 that we took this and put it over this. That's the mathematical definition of a radical, is the power over the index, 3/4 power in other words. Now the reason I suggest that is because when we want to figure out what the appropriate power would be, what's the appropriate power to eliminate this particular situation? Well, if you want to get rid of a power, you apply another power on top of it, another magic exponent, and it turns out, and I would ask you, but I know you're all sleeping anyway, but the power that would get rid of a 3/4 power would be a 4/3. All right, so if we introduce the 4/3 power to both sides of this equation, and here's the math behind it, you might recall that when we apply one power on top of another, we are supposed to multiply those powers. That was covered on assignment number 3. And so this would be 12/12, which is 1. Doesn't that essentially make this x minus 2 to the 1th to the first power, otherwise known as x minus 2? All right? So that did indeed magically get rid of that magic exponent. It killed the radical essentially. If you grab a calculator and put 125 in parentheses and raise it to the 4/3 power, in parentheses, mind you, I believe that gives us 625. All right? And then, of course, solving the remaining equation is simple here. All we have to do is add the 2 over, and we're done. All right? So that would leave us with x equals 627, and that would be the solution to that one. By the way, if you're only getting one solution, I'm okay with you just circling it. If we get multiple answers, let's try to remember to put them together within a solution set. But basically, that was example number 2, so let's keep the party rolling.